Hi, good day all. So today we'll be doing January 2021, number 8, right? So the question says a straight line graph of x is equals to 5 minus 3y intersects the x-axis at P and the y-axis at Q. Determine the coordinates of P and Q. Now, if we know anything, the point at which it intersects the x-axis, right? So we're saying that we're looking at P, where this line intersects the x-axis, that means y is equals to 0, right? This is for P. And for Q, when they say it intersects the y-axis, that means x is equals to 0. So we know we're going to just plot it into this graph where they say x is equals to 5 minus 3 by 0. So x is equals to 5 minus 0. So x is equals to 5. So now we know that P, x is 5, y is 0. Now if we look at this, x is equals to 5 minus 3y. So x is equals to 5 minus 3. Sorry, hold on. I don't know what went onto my head just now. We know x is equal to 0. So that 0 is equal to 5 minus 3y. We want to make y the subject. We always want to make y positive. So you're going to carry across this minus 3y. It's going to turn to plus 3y. So 3y is equals to 5. So y is equals to 5 divided by 3 if we carry across 3 here. All right, so y is equals to 3 divided by 5 is 1 and 2 over 3. So we know that coordinates P would be 5, 0, and Q, we know that x is 0, y is 1 and 2/3. And that would be your answer for this question right here. This one here, calculate the length of PQ given your answer to 2 decimal places. Now, if we know anything, we're supposed to know that the length of a line, right? The formula for length of line is equal to the square root of open bracket x2 minus x1 all squared plus y2 minus y1 all squared, right? So if they want the length of PQ, that means we're going to have to use P, which is 5, 0, and Q, which is equals to 0 and 1 and 2/3, right? So we're going to choose one of them to be group 1 and one of them to be group 2, right? I chose P to be group 2, right? So this is x2, y2, and this is x1, y1. It does not matter, guys, which one you choose. I'm just choosing those. It could have chosen it the other way around and you'll still get the same answer. So this will be the square root of open bracket x2 is 5 minus x1 is 0 all squared plus y2 is 0 minus 1 and 2/3 all squared, which is equals to the square root of 5 squared is 25 plus 1 and 2/3, 2/3, right? 1 and 2/3 squared, use your calculator, guys, right, would be 25 over 9, right? This one you're going to use a calculator for, right? You're going to put in your calculator the square root of open bracket 25 plus 25 over 9 close bracket, right? So let's do it. Second function, your square root sign, open bracket 25 plus 25 over 9, right? Close bracket is equal to, they say put your answers to 2 decimal places, right? This answer was 5.270462, so forth, right? This here, guys, to 2 decimal places would be 5.27 to 2 dp, and that would be your answer right there. 5.27 units to 2 decimal places in brackets to tell the examiner that you approximated it to 2 decimal places. Right, and that is your answer for length of your line. Right, part 3 says R is a midpoint of PQ. Determine the coordinates of R. Now, let's see, midpoint is equals to x2 plus x1 all divided by 2 and y2 plus y1 all divided by 2. We know that P is equal to 5, 0, and Q is equals to 0 and 5 over 3. You can leave it as 5 over 3 or 1 and 2/3, doesn't matter, right? You're going to use as your calculator anyways. You choose one to be group 1 and group 2. I chose P to be x2, y2, and Q is x1, y1. Right? So I have 5 plus 0 all divided by 2, and I have 0 plus 5 over 3 all divided by 2. When I use a calculator to do it, you're going to get, this is 2.5, which is 5 divided by 2 is 2.5, and this one would be 5 over 3 divided by 2. If you want to see, 5 over 3 divided by 2 is 5 over 3 multiplied by 1 over 2, because this is over 1, right, which is equals to 5 over 6. Right, so my coordinates for R is equals to 2.5 or 2.5. Let's keep it in, if you're doing fractions, leave it as fractions. Right, so this would be 2.5 and 5 over 6. That's the coordinates for R, which is a midpoint of P and Q. So part B. The function f and g are defined as below. F of x is 5 minus x and g of x is x squared minus 2x minus 1. The graph f and x meets at points m and n. Determine the coordinates of points m and n. What they're basically telling you in this whole thing here is that f of x is equals to g of x. And they want to know what is my coordinates for m and n. So when we put this as an equal to, you're going to get some values for x, and then from that you could get your values for y. Right? So we're going to have 5 minus x is equals to x squared minus 2x minus 1. Right? So you're going to say carry across x here, you're going to make it equal to 0. So it's 5 is equals to x squared minus 2x plus x. So if we carry across minus x, it'll turn to plus x minus 1. Now you're going to carry across 5 here. So it's going to be x squared minus 2x plus x minus 1 minus 5 is equal to, if we have nothing on the side, that means it's equals to 0. So I have x squared minus x, because 2x plus x is minus x, minus 6 is equals to 0, right? This here, we have to find out the values for x, right? And this is a quadratic equation, so we're going to, there are 3 ways that you can solve quadratics. I will just be choosing your factorization method. Right, so I have x squared minus x minus 6. So a is equals to 1, b is equals to negative 1, c is equals to 6. Right, we have to find AC. So AC is 1 multiplied by 6 is 6. Then you're going to write your factors of 6, which is 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. Right, then we have to find for b. Right, so b is equal to negative 1. Which 2 pairs that we have would give you negative 1? We could get positive 1, which is 3 minus 2. And to turn that positive 1 into negative 1, we just multiply by multiply this entire thing by -1. So you're going to get -3 plus 2 is equal to -1. So wherever we see put b, we're going to put this. So it's going to turn to x squared minus 3x plus 2x plus minus 6. Then we're going to pair them off. The first two, you're going to ask yourself what going to x squared and what going to 3x. We know x they have in common. X by what would give you that first term? X by x would give you x squared. And x by what would give you 3x? X by minus 3. And we know that the bracket's supposed to be the same, x minus 3. The next one will be x minus 3. X multiplied by what would give you 2x? X multiplied by 2. So we have x plus 2 in your first bracket and x minus 3. So now this is equals to 0. And if we have that is equals to 0, when solving quadratic equations, you let each bracket be equal to 0. So x plus 2 is equals to 0 and x minus 3 is equals to 0. You make x a subject, so that means x is equals to -2. You carry across plus 2 over the equal sign. And x is equals to positive 3. Right? Those are my values for x. However, they said that they wanted the coordinates. So if they want the coordinates, that means they want my y value too. And I told you guys that f of x is also known as y. So if we know x is -2, f of -2 would give me my y value, which would be 5 minus, we know f of x is equals to 5 minus x. So it will be 5 minus -2, which is equals to 5 plus 2, which is equals to 7. So when x is -2, y is 7. So that's my first coordinate, -2, 7. You can call that m or n, does not matter. And then when x is equals to 3, f of 3 is equals to 5 minus 3, which is equals to 2. So that would be 3, 2. That is my next coordinate. So we can say m is either 3, 2 or -2, 7. They didn't specify. -2, 7. Right? And n is equals to 3, 2. And that would be my answer for m and n. I'm going to do part C. Monty is cycling at 12 meters per second. That's meters and that's slash s. After 4.5 seconds, he starts to decelerate. And after a further 2.5 seconds, he stops. The speed time graph is shown below. Calculate the constant deceleration. Now, when they talk about deceleration, that is the graph that is going down here. They are talking about your gradient. And we know the formula for gradient is y. Why am I putting x? y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. So we're going to use our graph to calculate. So it have this coordinate right here and this coordinate right here. So if we look at this, x is 4.5 or 4.5 and y was 12. So that's the sum. That is this coordinate right on top here. If you want, I could zoom in, right? We have between 4 and 5, there's a space. Half of that would be 4.5 and y is 12. This one, x is equals to 7 and y is equals to 0. So this would be 7, 0. Right? Now, after we do that, after we get 2 points, the 2 points being 7, 0, and then 4.5 and 12, right? We're going to find the gradient. My gradient, which is my deceleration, would be y2. We choose one to be group 1, and I'm choosing this to be group 2, x2, and y2, and this is x1 and y1. So the gradient would be x2, which is 0 minus 12 divided by 7 minus 4.5. So my gradient would be minus 12 divided by 2.5, which is equals to minus 4.8 meters per second squared. Now guys, this here, my gradient is actually my acceleration. So if you want deceleration, so my acceleration, so my gradient is my acceleration, acceleration is my gradient, which is minus 4.8. So if they want my deceleration, it would be the opposite of minus 4.8, which is positive 4.8. So this would be, my deceleration is 4.8 meters per second squared. And that would be the answer. So when I actually find in my gradient, that is why I'm finding my acceleration. But because they asked me for my deceleration, my deceleration would be like opposite of my acceleration. The opposite of 4.8 minus 4.8 is positive 4.8. All right, and that would be the answer for this. Then they ask you for Monty's average speed over the 7 seconds. Now, speed or average speed, right? Average speed is equals to distance over time, right? Because if we look at this here, they said cycling at 12 meters per second, right? This here, guys, meters per second would be distance over time. M is distance, S is time, right? So your average speed or your speed is distance over time. So first off, we need to find out the distance that they did. So my distance would actually be the area of the graph. And my time would be, if you look at the graph, how much time it took? It took 7 seconds. So if I want my, my area of my graph or trapezium, and I'll show you guys this, my area for my trapezium is something that looks like this, right? We're calling this is A, the short part on top is A, the bottom part here is B, and this is height. So if we're going to fill this up here, my area of this would be a half A plus B by H. All right, now let's fill this in. What is A? If we want the distance from here to here, we know that's 4.5. So this is equal to a half by A, which is 4.5, plus B, which is this distance here, which is 7. And my height, if we look at the graph here, my height is this distance from here to here, which is 12. And you put this exact same thing in your calculator. So this is area of a trapezium, and you're going to get 69 meters. Now, if we know anything about average speed, distance is in meters, time is in seconds, we know that my speed or my average speed would be my distance, which is 69, all divided by my time, which is 7 seconds. So you use a calculator, you're going to get 9.86 meters per second. So for this, guys, we need to know what is the area of a trapezium. I'm calling it a trapezium because if we look at this image here, it is a trapezium, right? This top part here, again, this top part here from here to here is 4.5, and from here to here is 7, and then the height of it is 12. So the top part is A, the bottom part is B, and the height is 12, right? And you put it in this formula, a half open bracket a plus b by your height. You use that, you get 69. You know your speed is distance over time, which is 69 over 7, which is 9.86 meters per second, right? And that is the end of this question of January 2021.